Hey, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm Wood. In this series, we're comparing two accounts that I started at the same time on the same day, and I'm playing the same way with one major difference. One account is free to play, the other has a monthly spending budget of $50. It's day 69, don't say it. Let's check our progress. Hey, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're well. We have a green border around the free-to-play account, no border around the budget account, so when I switch back and forth, you'll know which account we're talking about. Just a quick update today. So on daily login rewards, today was, technically it's still today, but for me it was yesterday. We collected 4 5-star epic speed gear pieces. We did have a couple of speed substats on those, but the rolls didn't go our way on them. I don't think we even touched speed on any of those. So. And that was on both accounts, on both the budget and the free-to-play. It was kind of the same on both. We were able to finish on both accounts also the artifact enhancement event up to the point of the fragments. And I ran out of time. I was doing the whole airplane mode method, right before the event was over. I think I was within an hour of the event being over, and I was still going back and forth and running out of silver, and then thinking, in another 24 hours, we've got another artifact enhancement starting, and I know they last 3 days, so we will have some time to build up some more silver, but I didn't go all the way to the end to get the Ancient Shard in the Epic Book. I just got the fragments for Packmaster, and we are at, I think, 50, right? Yeah, so we're at 50 fragments for Shy'ek, and that's on both accounts as well. Things have been pretty much the same on both. Silver, though, I do have more silver on the free-to-play than I do on the budget account. It's just, I do need to do some gear cleansing now. I've been keeping almost everything that we've gotten from Spider. We've continued to farm the Spider 10 for this Spider tournament. I really want to get a chance to summon in the Prism event coming up on Friday. I'm gonna hold on. I'll probably have 2 of the summons because we're gonna try and go all the way to the end of the Dungeon Divers that opened today, and this should give us that. And we did finish the fragments for the Fire Knight tournament. This is also on both accounts. I know I talk a lot about the free-to-play, but that's just because that's where I start every day. But we pretty much are in the exact same position on both accounts, where I'm just kind of following the same plan. And then so I'm doing this Epics Only Spider tournament up until the point where we get these Prism crystals. And that's helping us with the Dungeon Divers that started. Dungeon Divers started for me about 12 hours ago. And yeah, you can see where we are there. I'm going to switch over to the budget account and I'll show you where we are on that one. I think we're pretty close to the same place. Yeah, almost virtually. Yeah, as I go back and forth, see, it's virtually in the same place. We've got 1,055 points on the free-to-play and 1,026 on the budget. So you can see, I'm within like one run of Spider being in the same place. And it's a pretty good, it's not as efficient as doing 20. I did get a comment yesterday, and I thought it was worth talking about. The commenter was saying that it's more efficient to do 10 because it's faster. And that may be true, but when I talk about, and when you're talking about time efficiency, and you can do 10 faster than you can do 20, I think that's relevant. But when I talk about efficiency, most of the time I'm talking about points per energy. How many points per each unit of energy are you getting? And so that's kind of what I look at when I'm talking about efficiency. And I still think 20, Spider 20, if you can do it, is more efficient points per energy than Spider 10. And the main reason for that is because on 10, you can still get brews and mystery shards on 10, and that's not, that takes away from the efficiency of 10. And 10 is pretty efficient, but it's not as efficient points wise as doing 20, and that's all I meant by that. And a lot of people can build teams that are even faster than their Spider 10 team. But if you can build a fast Spider 20 team, you can probably also build a fast Spider 10 team. It just depends on what you see as more efficient. And I just thought that was interesting that the commenter brought that up, that the way he looked at efficiency was about his time, and I think that's a good way to look at it, and that's something that I hadn't even considered. So we have a new faction unity champion coming up, along with the patch that we're going to get tomorrow. Pretty excited about it, a little bit trepidatious. I know there's some information out there about rewards that I haven't even looked at that yet. I'm nervous. It's not because I'm nervous about it that I haven't looked at it. A lot of the new content I've noticed, the rewards don't have anything to do with getting any more legendary books or shards. They have to do with other things, strengthening our champions that we currently have in the game and everything. And while I get that, I would like to see some more rewards that have something to do with getting some more legendary books. And because for people that are still building their accounts and building their champions, the legendary books matter. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds as well. I will go and take a look. So yeah, so I'm excited to see what those rewards are going to be and how that shakes out, and it's going to be complicated. It's going to be a complicated system. Like I said before, there's going to be a learning curve on this stuff as far as the clan siege goes, and so I'm excited to see how that's going to work. But yeah, the new faction unity champion, I did see a couple of guys' videos on it. I watched Scratch actually had a really good. If you want to go check out a good video, yeah, Lizardman faction unity champion coming up tomorrow also, and so I don't know if we'll get. We'll probably get some kind of summoning event where you have a 10 times chance for that champion. Those faction unity champions are only available on certain summoning events, and they have been part of these prism pools at times. So I'm assuming maybe that the next time we have this in a couple of weeks, maybe if we have another prism pool, that champion might be part of that as well. That's just I don't have anything to base that on, but they have been part of the prism pool before. But he looks like a very, very powerful faction unity champion, and a few people out there are going to be lucky enough to get that one. That's kind of exciting. So yeah, you can see we've got a Dungeon Divers going right now that started. I did say yesterday that I thought it had some Prism Crystals, and so we do get one summon of Prism Crystals at the end of it. That's a lot of points for a Dungeon Divers, but we're doing pretty well on that so far, and it's a 3-day. So we're halfway through the first day on that one as I'm recording this, and looks like we're going to be okay on it. The Epics Only Spider Tournament is helping. I believe if we look at the schedule, I can't remember which dungeon is coming up next after we finish the Fire Knight Tournament. We do have a champion training coming up in about 12 hours from the time I'm recording this as well, and then we also have Dragon coming up. The Dragon Tournament will overlap the Dungeon Divers that we're currently in right now for one day. So we do have a chance once we finish this Epics Only Spider, and then we start doing champ training, and then we're going to be able to add that first day of Dragon to that Dungeon Divers. So hopefully that'll be enough energy, hopefully for all of us, that'll be enough energy to be able to get to the top of that Dungeon Divers also. And then if we can achieve that, we'll have 2 free Prism summons. And it looks like it's not going to interfere too much with the Fragment Summon event that we're doing for Packmaster right now. There's also another new Void Legendary in the Ogren that's covered in jewelry. It's pretty great. So, I mean, it's great looking. Scratch was kind of disappointed. I watched Scratch's video, and he introduced a couple of the new champions, and his video he had, he was a little bit disappointed with the skills and everything, but he was on the test server, and so he was able to test some of those things out. So those are always really valuable to watch. So, and Scratch has some crazy gear, so he's able to do some really cool stuff with the new champions and get some insane damage out of that. That Lizardman is going to be, for anybody who gets that new Lizardman faction guardian, that's going to be really, really nice to have for all areas of the game, it looks like. So if you have other good Lizardmen to pair with him, I think you'll be in a good place if you're lucky enough to get one of those. I'm not counting on that at all anywhere, but yeah, and like I said, another artifact enhancement coming up. So I'm just gonna try and save as much silver as possible. And I haven't built up too much silver here. You can see I've got 3.13 million on the budget account, but I do have some silver in the bank with accessories. And so what I'm going to do when I do my gear cleanse with accessories, when I'm really early game like this and I have very few level 60 champions, you're not using too many amulets or banners. Rings are kind of a little bit more important because all you have to have is an epic, to be able to put a ring on them or to 4-star a rare. And so you want to keep a few more rings when you're this early game. Usually the accessories that you've acquired, they're usually not worth keeping for very long anyway. And so what I tend to do is I want to get rid of most of the things, but the problem is you never know, it's really hard to remember unless you've got this, great eidetic memory like some of these guys seem to have. I don't. I just go through and I go through on each category. So I click primary stats, and then I hit one of the, I just hit HP first, and I go through and I look and I see, okay, how many HP rings do I have for barbarians? I've got 1. So yeah, you're not getting rid of that, right? Because you have 1. But on high elves, see, I've got 4 of them here. And so then you just go through and you look at, what are the best ones. And so I feel comfortable getting rid of this uncommon one, right? But if I only had 1 uncommon ring, I would probably keep it just because it's 1. And then I do have a blood shield, and I rarely sell those even on my main account, because you never know when those are going to come in handy. So anyway, I go through that process, and then I'll go through the same process with all the attack rings. And you see I've got a whole bunch of Dark Elves attack rings for some reason, and only 1 for orcs, other than the blood shield. So that's kind of the way I go through them, and then I'm able to eliminate quite a few of the accessories that I know I'm not going to need. But you want to keep at least 1 or 2 in each category, just in case. And then when you go through on your amulets and your banners, well, you're probably going to keep fewer of them because you don't have that many champions to put them on yet, unless they're good. You just go through and look, and defense amulets are usually not worth keeping either, because you would rather have HP than defense, but beggars and choosers, right? So I first go through the HP amulets, see what I've got, and so you can see a lot of times you have several in one for one faction, but then you only have a couple in another faction. And it's hard for me to keep in mind, especially when I'm going through and I've done auto battles on dungeons. It's hard for me to keep in mind, which, ones I have already. There's so many, there's 15 factions, and it's just hard to keep track of, well, how many HP amulets do I have? How many crit damage amulets do I have? So this is the way I go through it. I just go through methodically, and then I can eliminate, as long as I save 1 or 2, unless I've got a couple of really good ones. And at this stage, I've only got 5-star. I've only got access to 5-star. So if I've got some 5-star epic that are actually good, and then if these are good, I would keep them as well. And then as I build new champions and as I progress further in Spider, a lot of times those are going to fall off eventually also. Just with selling these 4 amulets, I'm getting 157,000 silver. So that's the way I tend to go through it. At the beginning stages, I tend to just keep what I get and then go through and eliminate what I don't need later. And then later on, they have the auto sell feature and everything. And so if you get to the point where you're just not keeping any 4-star at all, pretty much got your bases covered on having at least 1 or 2 amulets to put on a new champion you're building, then you may want to start auto selling all of your 4-stars. For example, if you're not going to get anything that's going to be an improvement to anything that you have. So that's kind of the way I look at it and the way I do it. And we're going to need the silver as we continue to progress, because man, having these back-to-back artifact enhancement events when we can kind of barely we're at the silver level where we can kind of barely do one anyway. It's difficult to have enough silver to do all 3 artifact enhancements in a fragment summon like this. So we'll just keep going through and doing Spider and saving as much silver as possible. I'm avoiding right now. I'm not improving anything outside of the event where it gives me points. After putting all this effort in, we definitely don't want to lose out on a chance to get this fragment summon done. So I'm going to keep going on the Epics Only Spider tournament, and then when champ training starts, I'll shift gears and hopefully I'll have the prisms for the Epics Only Spider tournament done by then, and then we'll get all the training done for a day. I'll work on training for a day, and you can kind of lean into that also, because then when Dragon Tournament starts the next day, we'll only have a day left of the Dungeon Divers. And then we'll try and finish that Dungeon Divers by using as much energy as we can on the Dragon Tournament. So that's the plan for the next couple of days, and I'm just going to keep grinding away at it and hope that I have enough silver to do the next artifact enhancement. Thank you for watching. I hope you're well. I've been Wood, and I appreciate you.